Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here back with another part of What If Naruto A Mother's Love, and before continuing this part I have an announcement. Today is going to be a triple upload, so stay tuned for another two uploads as well. And if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and without further ado, let's continue our story. Naruto and Hinata stepped into the classroom together. Most of the children were already seated. Many of them seemed to know each other and they were loud chatter in class. Naruto looked at the seats trying to find a couple that were open net to each other. Who are you supposed to be? A voice spoke to him. Naruto looked over to the first row where a boy with dark black hair and dark eyes was looking amused. Excuse me? Naruto asked. What's with the getup? The boy clarified. Naruto was wearing a black bodysuit with dark red stripes along the arms and legs. Beneath, he wore his custom made body armor. Along his belt were several pouches, and on his back, he had a sword strapped on. But that wasn't what had gotten the other boy's attention. It was the cloak. Naruto had on a pristine white cloak with flames along the bottom. It was an exact replica of what his father had worn as a Hokage. When Naruto wore it, the resemblance was unmistakable. I wear it in honor of my father. Naruto said tightly. For him, his father was a subject he could not speak of without strong feelings. The boy chuckled, thinking the newcomer was obviously just desperate to get attention. Sure, you're just trying to be a fake Yondam. The boy's chuckle was cut off when he suddenly felt a killer intent, stronger than any he ever had. The boy's hand was twitching and his eyes were looking at him with something dark and hateful. He wasn't the only one in the classroom who could sense such intense feelings. The talk in the classroom died away and everyone looked at the boy who was glaring at Sasuke. Hinata could feel their eyes on her as well as the clear intent coming off of Naruto. She felt like shrinking away. Naruto didn't seem to notice. My name is Namikaze Naruto, he said in a voice that was so low and tight. My father was Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage. Sasuke smiled and leaned back in his chair. Oh, so you're him, huh? My father said I should stay away from you, that you were dangerous. Your father was right. You better stay away. He took a breath and brought his anger back under control. What's your name? Uchiha Sasuke, not a smile. Well, Sasuke, my first impression is that you're a jerk and a dickhead. He reached back to take hold of Hinata's hand. Again, come on, Hinata. There are a few couple seats in the top row. We can sit there. Sasuke watched him go with a smirk. His mom might be dangerous, but he was nothing special. Link break. Ino watched as the two of them passed her. Seeing her, Naruto gave a quick nod which she took as a proof of his infatuation with her. He's so cool, she sighed. You're drooling. A bored voice next to her said, Shut up, you lazy jerk. Don't disturb me when I'm thinking about my one true love. Yours and every other girl's, I almost feel sorry for Sasuke. Ha! She gave the sleepy boy next to her a triumphant smile. Shows what you know. I am so over Sasuke now. Oh? Shikamaru somehow found the energy to lift an eyebrow. Who's your latest victim? Ow! He rubbed the back of his head. Well, it just so happens that I have fallen completely in love with Namikaze Naruto. Shikamaru craned his neck to look at the seats on the top row across from him. For him, this was a huge effort. He looked at the boy sitting talking to a girl who was obviously a Yuga. His getup was obviously meant to draw attention. My folks told me to be very careful around me, but they wouldn't say why. He shrugged. Not that they needed to, given who his mom is. Every children in the classroom had been told more or less the same thing about Naruto. The exact word and the degree of behesim varied, but the basic message was the same: stay away. And none of them would exactly say why. Of course, all the children were smart enough to figure out the reason. His mother was someone so scary mothers used to frighten their children with her name. It was easy to understand why the parents would want their children to keep clear of her son. Anyway, he doesn't look dangerous. Oh, he is. She looked over dreamily. You can tell just by looking at him. For Ino and most of the other girls, the fact that her parents had warned her to stay away from him only made him even more attractive. He was dangerous. She even liked those weird scars on his cheeks. They gave him an exotic sort of rare look. He was definitely one of a kind. She was starting to drool again. Shikamaru decided saying anything more would be troublesome, so he put his head back down and tried to take a nap. Link break. Iruka and Mizuki both stood in the doorway observing the class for a moment. They had both witnessed the confrontation between Sasuke and Naruto. They had been on the point of intervening when Naruto brought his killer intent back under control. So what do you think? Mizuki asked. Iruka sighed. I think these are going to be very interesting 4 years, Mizuki. He gave Mizuki a small grin. He really does look like him, doesn't he? Mizuki nodded wearily. Oh, on the outside he does. But then he smiled. He certainly doesn't lack confidence. We have an Uchiha, and a Yuga, and a Namikaze in one class. This has gotten to be the first time that happens in the last at least 20 years or so, Iruka sighed. At least he seemed to be getting along with the Yuga girl. Hopefully he learns to get along with Uchiha as well. Somehow I don't think that's going to happen. He looked at the watch. It's 8. Iruka nodded. Right. With that, he and Mizuki entered the classroom. The children quickly quieted down when they saw them. Iruka took a spot directly in front of their seats. He gave them a smile and motioned for silence. After a moment, he spoke. Hello, children. My name is Umino Iruka, and this is my associate, Minos Mizuki. You will refer to us as Iruka Sensei and Mizuki Sensei. For the next 4 years, while you are here, we will be your primary instructors in the ninja arts. While you are here in this classroom or in the dojo or in the practice fields, you are our responsibility. In the morning, we will concentrate on text and written materials, and these times I will usually be in charge. In the afternoon and after lunch, you will receive physical exercises and training in taijutsu and basic weapons. After these times, Mizuki will normally be in charge of you. Along with these standards instruction, you can also accept or expect to go on several field trips to develop survival skills. Now, to help us to get to know each other, I would like each of you to stand up and tell us who you are and what you hope to become. One by one, from student to the right. I want munch 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 to be just like my dad and show everyone that a pleasantly plump person can be a great ninja. I want to be an ordinary ninja. Have an ordinary career. Marry a girl who is not too pretty or too ugly. Have 2 kids, a girl and a boy. Retire when my daughter marries and my son becomes a ninja, and then enjoy a peaceful and carefree retirement until I die before my wife. I want to prove that a Konoichi can be beautiful and powerful, and I want to win the love of someone special to me. The girl turned around and blew a kiss towards Naruto. Naruto had no idea what to think of this while Hinata began to press her index fingers again. I want to be a good Konoichi, and I also want. The girl looked at Sasuke and dissolved into giggles. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I want to prove myself worthy of my father's respect and to match my Nissan's. I seek to master all of my clan's jutsus and to eventually help breed a new species of Gekai bugs. I want to become a great ninja and fight with my dog Shikamaru. As her turn approached, she began to panic at the thought of all these people looking at her and her having to talk. But then she felt Naruto's hand covering hers. He could always tell when she was really nervous. He leaned in and whispered to her, Don't worry, Hinata-chan. I know you'll be fine. She smiled at him and nodded. Arigato, Naruto-kun. It was amazing how just his touch and just a few words could set her mind at ease. When her turn came, she stood and spoke in a clear voice. I'm Hinata Yuga. I wish to become a strongest leader for my clan and to earn my father's respect and the respect of one other person. She sat back down, relieved she had managed to get through that without a shudder. Naruto slowly stood. I'm Namikaze Naruto. I have only one goal, an ambition really. I want to be the greatest Hokage that Konoha has ever seen. No one laughed at him, for they all knew that such a thing was hardly impossible for one with the Namikaze name and the blood of a Hokage in his veins. Ruka nodded, well satisfied with how well it had gone. Most of them lacked a strong sense of purpose and fell back on the standard answers of just being a great ninja or konoichi. That was normal. While they were here, they would develop strong senses of what they wanted or they would wash out. Some of them already possessed a really strong sense of purpose. His eyes drifted back to Naruto. Well, thank you. That was very informative. You can trust both Mizuki and myself to do everything we can to help each and every one of you to reach your goals. Now, we need to get an idea of your abilities. To begin with, can any of you use a jutsu or jutsu? He didn't expect anyone to raise their hands. At this age, only some who was a genius would be able to mold chakra. But to his surprise, not one but three hand rose. Well, this should be interesting. Very well. Sasuke, Shikamaru, Naruto, come down here, please. The three boys were soon standing before him. Alright, who would like to go first? Shikamaru spoke up. Man, this is a drag. Let me go so I can rest again. Ruka frowned at him. You should be well rested when you come here each day. This is no excuse for not being ready for a full day when you arrive here. In any case, please show me your jutsu. Shikamaru nodded and went through some hands and shadow possession jutsu. His shadow flowed 5 meters until it merged with Iruka's. Iruka was compelled to put his hands on his head and begin dancing around, mimicking Shikamaru and greatly amusing everyone in the class. Alright, that's enough! Iruka called out. Shikamaru ended the jutsu and Iruka tried to regulate his dignity. Thank you, Shikamaru. That was very impressive. Shikamaru nodded and slouched back to the seat. Sasuke, why don't you go next? The boy smirked. Can we go outside? It's a fire jutsu. Iruka nodded. Alright, class, we're going outside. After about 5 minutes, the class and instructors had assembled on the asphalt outside. Alright, Sasuke, please demonstrate. Sasuke ran through hands. Fireball technique. From his mouth, a boulder of fire at least 5 feet across appeared. He let it land on the asphalt. He heard the other kids all shout and applaud, of course. He calmly turned back to his stunned instructor. Both of them were gaping at him. Very, very impressive, Sasuke. Ruka praised the power of the Uchiha clan. Mizuki said with a little bit of awe. Simply smiling happily, he headed back to rejoin the other students. As he passed Naruto, he smiled at him. Top the fake, Yondime. Naruto shot him daggers from his eyes as the smug little genius passed him. His hand twitched and he longed to take out his sword. He did manage to keep his killer intent from spiking through. Oh, I'll chop that, you arrogant little jerk. When Ruka called him forward, he decided to put as much chakra as he could into this. He thought this might go well. He was seriously pissed off at the moment, and he found that whenever he got really angry, he seemed to have more chakra than usual. He thought of it as red chakra, and it always felt different from his regular chakra. He could feel it in him now. He went through then a shadow cone technique, and then just for an instant the entire area was covered with smoke. When the smoke lifted, Iruka and Mizuki and the class were entirely surrounded by about 200 clones. What? Mizuki stared out in complete shock. He wasn't the only one. The entire class was shouting and pointing. Iruka reached out and actually touched the nearest clones. Surely enough, they weren't illusions. Naruto, how on earth did you do that? What do you mean? He looked at one who had answered. Shadow clones are a high-level Jonin technique. How did you learn? Oh well, my mother tried teaching me how to make regular bunshin, but I was terrible at it. Still am. It turned out I have a lot of chakra capacity, even more than my mom has. She finally realized that the reason I couldn't make bunshins was that I have trouble controlling very small amount of chakra. I actually have an easier time and jutsus that require a lot of chakra, so she had me learn how to make shadow clones. But it's a forbidden jutsu. Mizuki spoke up. How did you get access to it? It's in my family library. How do you think? Naruto replied casually. Really? Mizuki said. Well now, this has possibilities. Naruto, just how long did it take you to learn this? Naruto shrugged. It just took a few hours. It wasn't that hard. Now, Iruka and Mizuki were both staring at him open-mouthed. What? Iruka shook his head. He had learned an A-rank jutsu in a few hours and performed it better than anyone below Kage level could. Naruto, do you know I truly believe that you just may be Hokage one day? Mizuki gave him a surprised look. The students were whispering among themselves, repeating what Iruka had just said. Naruto gave Iruka a huge grin. You mean that, Iruka-sensei? Iruka nodded solemnly. If you can do this much now, you're likely already at Jonin level. Definitely a high tuning. In fact, if you like, I'd be willing to give you the graduation test now. If your scholastic knowledge is good, you should definitely pass it, right? And become a Ganin right now. What? No way that loser can be stronger than me. The way they're talking about him sounds like the way they talk about Nissan. I'm an Uchiha. He can't be better than me. Sasuke thought venomously. Oh, Naruto-kun, I am so proud of you. You truly are amazing, and I know you'll be a great Hokage because you can do anything you truly want. Hinata thought, proudly but sadly. How will I get through school without you? Oh no, I can't lose Naruto-kun now. How can I make him fall completely in love with me if I'm stuck here while he's doing missions? Hinata thought desperately. Damn, this is not good. Mizuki thought of arguments against giving Naruto the graduation test now. It was rare but not unheard of. But unfortunately, Naruto shook his head. Thanks, Iruka-sensei, but my mom already told me she wants me to stay in for the full 4 years. She says I need to develop my social skills. Iruka nodded. Alright, but please tell your mother that I am prepared to administrate the test at any time given. Naruto nodded happily. So do you know any other jutsu? About a dozen, he said without concern. He smirked. Anything interesting? If you knew shadow clones, if It only made sense he could know other lower level jutsus, but nothing could top what he already done. Well, I can summon. Ruka looked at him carefully. Show me, please. But first, would you mind dispelling your clones? No problem. With a thought, he got rid of all the clones. Then a bit of blood from his thumb. Summoning technique. He slammed his onto the asphalt. With a large puff of smoke, a 5 foot tall red and black frog appeared. Ruka nodded. I knew the Yondaim could summon frogs, but for you to do so, you have to sign a contract. How are you able to do that? Nara smiled. Oh, Granddad let me. Granddad? Jiraiya is my father's sensei, and he dropped by to see me whenever he's in town. You had the great Jiraiya teach you? You had one of the Sanins as a sensei? Well, I don't know if you can really call him my sensei. He just shows me a few things like summoning and then he goes off to do research somehow. Tsunade is even worse. I only get to see her once a year, and she always wanted to show me how to do medical ninjutsu. He shook his head. Ruka and Mizuki were staring at him again. I don't suppose Orochimaru visits you too. Does he? Ruka said. Who? Never mind. Alright, Naruto. Very, very interesting. Alright, let's get back to the classroom. Link break. He and Hinata had found a table in the cafeteria and were sitting down to eat. What did you bring for lunch, Naruto-kun? Naruto gave her a very happy smile. Oh, it's a real treat. Mom made her special ramen for me. I wish she would make it for me more often. But she says it's not healthy for me and stunts your growth. Well, Naruto-kun, if you ate ramen all the day, you probably wouldn't be taller than me. Hinata tried to point out the positive. Can I sit with you, Naruto-kun? Naruto turned around to see Ino standing beside him with a tray. Oh, sure, Ino. Why not? Smiling, she took the seat across from him. She gave Hinata, who was sitting next to him, a very slight and quick frown. Oh, Hinata-chan, are you doing anything later after class? No. Why? Well, Hinata-chan, I thought if you like, I could take you shopping with me. I mean, we could get you something to wear that actually shows off your feminine side. You know, instead of the gender-neutral clothes you have on now. I mean, the only reason to wear a bulky, baggy jacket is if you're embarrassed to show your figure. That's not the reason you wear it, is it, Hinata? Hinata felt herself wanting to shrink again. No, she said in a small voice. I mean, if it is, that's nothing to be ashamed of. Some girls are just late boomers. Naruto looked at her. You know, we're all 8-year-olds. No one has yet. Well, you have, Naruto-kun. She reached across the table to touch his forearm. Oh, you are so muscular. How did you get so strong? Weight training and regular exercises. Can you give me some tips? I would love to see what you do. Naruto shrugged. Alright, what are you doing this Saturday? She beamed at him. Nothing at all, Naruto-kun. Would you like to join me and my mom for training? The smile slipped a bit. No, this is fine. I'll just impress him and his mom with my ability and we can have a real date later on. I mean, it's still more than Sasuke ever agreed to. That sounds great, Naruto-kun. I'd be happy to join you. You might want to reconsider that, Hinata spoke up. Their training session can be very extreme. She gave Hinata a smug smile. Have you trained with him? She nodded. I don't do all the exercises, but I do about half of them. Well, I'm sure if you can handle half of them, I'll be able to do most of them. Hey, Hinata-chan, why don't you come by Saturday too? We can all train together. Naruto nodded. Naruto looked at Ino and sent the girl a tiny grin. I like that, Naruto-kun. Great. I'll see both of you there at 7. Naruto said. In the morning? Ino said startled. Naruto nodded. Be sure to have a big breakfast. You'll really need the energy, and we won't stop until noon. The workouts last 5 hours. The color began to drain from her face. Oh no, Ino. Naruto said. The workout lasts 10 hours. 5 hours is as long as Hinata-chan can last. Is that a problem? Her smile looked a bit shaky, but she shook her head. Naruto, would you mind if we join you? Naruto looked up to see 3 girls all smiling at him and holding a tray of food. He nodded and gave them all an inviting smile. The kids were surely friendly, but why did Hinata look so worried? He didn't know. It's not a problem that I invited her, is it, Mom? Naruto asked as the 4 of them were heading back to the academy, to their home. No, honey, of course not. I want you to make friends. You are welcome to invite whoever you like home. Just let me know. She stopped to pick up a couple of pebbles. Inviting friends over is fine. In blur, she threw the 2 pebbles at a large tree they were passing underneath. Ow! Ow! 2 8-year-old girls dropped out of the tree out on the street. Kushina stood over them, frowning with crossed arms. Why are you following us? Delona looked up in a panic for her life. Please don't kill us, she wailed. Kushina shut her eyes and shook her head. I'm not going to hurt you. But don't stalk my son. If he wants to see you after school, he'll invite you. But if he doesn't, I expect you to leave him be. We weren't stalking Naruto-kun. We just wanted to see where he was going, Delona said. Did he know that? No. Delona said weakly. That's stalking then, little girl. Don't do it again. Now go. Two girls wasted no time running away. Kushina turned to her son's side. Tell me something, Naruto-kun. How many girls had lunch with you today? Not counting Hinata, about, seven. Why? Well, it's official then. Kushina said in a flat voice. What? You have a fan club. She took out a kuna and tossed it at a trash can. The can flipped end over end, spilling garbage over the 8-year-old girl who had been hiding behind it. Eek! The girl shouted in terror. Go home and don't follow my son again. The girl fled. She gave her son a look that was amused and annoyed at the same time. My son, the heartthrob. It's okay, Mom. I'll just tell the girls to leave me alone tomorrow. Kushina, Kornai, and even Hinata looked at him as though he was an idiot. Naruto-kun, I really don't think that they will do any good after listening to you. Hinata said quietly, why not? Because Naruto-kun, you're not a person to them. You're an ideal. Kushina said as she picked up another pebble. Huh? Kushina threw the pebble at a younger girl in a yellow dress fell out of a tree. You're stalking. Bad. Don't do that, she shouted as the girl ran for her life. Now, as I was saying, except for Hinata, did any of the other girls today really know you? I mean, other than your name, your ambition, and the fact that you all already are powerful? Well, no, he said. Yet they're willing to risk a terrible and painful death. She shouted the last part and came to a halt. Every girl who has been following my son has until the count of 5 to get out of here before I take out my sword and start cutting off heads. 5? Immediately, 6 different girls came out of their hiding places and began to run away screaming. She looked at her son. None of these girls actually think they're going to get you. So just telling them you're not interested won't help. You're an ideal to them now. An ideal? Kushina nodded. They look at you and see the perfect and unattainable. Being with you is a magical quest. They know the attempt is bound to fail, but they still want to try because you represent an idol to these girls of everything they imagine they want in a boyfriend. They want to persuade you because, in an odd way, they think it brings them closer to this perfection they can never really have. So, what can I do, Mom? Kushina frowned. Well, if you'd know what to do, you might have nipped this in the bud. But I neglected to tell you how to handle things like this, she said. Unfortunately, now that the fan club has actually formed, you're left with only two options. One option would be to ruin the reputation you have now. You could answer every question wrong, try to be loud and obnoxious, start playing a bunch of annoying pranks, and maybe replace the Hokage look with a bright orange jumpsuit. Naruto looked at her in horror. Mom, don't even joke about that. Kushina grinned. Well, that leaves option 2. Get a girlfriend. What? Naruto thought. What? Naruto cried out. Mom, I thought I was trying to get the girls to leave me alone. Kushina nodded. That's the goal, Naruto-kun. How does having a girlfriend help with having girls chase after me? Simple. By having one girlfriend, you immediately ruin the ideal all the other girls have. Even if you are unattainable, they still want to only chase boys who are unattached. If you were to have a girlfriend, that will take the steam out of most of the fangirls. Not a frown at her. I don't know, Mom. I mean, even if I wanted to, which girl would I get to pick? Kushina raised an eyebrow. Well, son, whom would you feel comfortable spending time with, being alone with, and maybe even talking or walking hand in hand with? She glanced to where Naruto and Hinata were holding hands. Naruto seemed to struggle. That's just it, Mom. I don't feel comfortable with any of them. The only person in the whole classroom I feel comfortable around is Hinata-chan. Kushina just looked at her son blankly for a bit and waited. He didn't seem to get it. Finally, she asked, Who? Hinata-chan. She cupped a hand to her ear. Who? He frowned at her. I said, Hinata-chan, I feel comfortable around Hinata-chan. And then the light seemed to come on. Oh, I could have Hinata-chan be my girlfriend. Kushina smiled. Why, Naruto-kun, what a wonderful idea. Asking the girl you know and trust. Naruto frowned then. I don't think it would work though. Why not, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. He looked at her in surprise. Oh, come on, Hinata-chan, can you see me as your boyfriend? Hinata hung her head and didn't bother to answer. Kushina looked at, but decided not to say anything. If he doesn't see it, there's no point trying to force things. Well, they're both young. All good things in time. Well, Naruto, I hope you enjoy being an ideal. Great! He began looking around, wondering if there were any more girls following him. Kushina picked up a pebble. Well, on the bright side, this should be good preparations for when you become Hokage. Most of the villagers never met your father, but they loved and idolized him. She threw the pebble into the bushes in front of the residence. Ow! The bush cried out. Though the villagers didn't stalk him, Link break. They made it back to the Namikaze estates without saying much more. They also made it running into only two more fangirls. Naruto-kun, go on, I'll be in a minute. Naruto nodded and went in through the gates. When he was out of hearing, she turned to Hinata. Hinata-chan, I would like to talk to you for a moment. Kurane looked at Kushina. Would you like some privacy? Kushina shook her head. I don't mind if you hear this, Kurane. She smiled at Hinata. This will just be us, girls, right? What is it, Kushina? Hinata asked more slowly. Kushina reached out and gently put a hand on each shoulder. Hinata-chan, don't give up on him. She looked surprised. What do you mean? Just what I said. Don't give up on him, or on the idea of being with him eventually. I know it doesn't seem like it right now, but Naruto thinks the world of you. And I know just how deeply he cares about you too. She sighed. Naruto-kun doesn't even see me as a potential girlfriend. Right now he doesn't, but Hinata-chan, you are both still very young. Things can change with time, but the important thing is that today wasn't a decisive moment, so don't worry too much. Decisive moment? Kushina smiled kindly. In all of our lives, Hinata-chan, there comes a certain number of decisive moments. These are crossroads in our life's journey. There are times when your life can move into one or another very different path. Would you like to hear about mine? Hinata nodded eagerly. Well, not too surprisingly, mine involved a certain man. Would you like to hear how Minato and I come to be? Oh, yes, please. Well, he was in Whirlpool country, commanding a small force of Levians that were there to help us drive out some damn Rockinians from our territory. I worked with him closely, and for the very start, we flirted with one another mercilessly. She stopped and smiled fondly at the memory. Anyway, for a month the Rockinians had been driven out, and Minato was going to lead his men back home. We were saying our goodbyes, and as I was saying goodbye to him, I just knew it was a decisive moment in my life. He wasn't Hokage then, but he was the Yellow Flash of Konoha, a ninja legend, and the most beautiful man I have ever laid eyes on. I knew that I would probably never see him again, and my heart ached at the thought. It was a decisive moment, and I decided to follow my heart. What did you do? Kushina asked wide-eyed. Hinata asked wide-eyed. Kushina's eyes formed. I grabbed him and gave him the most passionate kiss of my life. Hinata gasped. You didn't. Kushina laughed. Oh yes, I did. And you should have seen the look on his face. But you see, Hinata-chan, everything else that happens, our falling in love, our marriage, and the birth of our son, all started from the decisive moment that I used to follow my heart with. It took a chance, and if I hadn't, then none of it would have happened. Do you understand what I'm telling you, Hinata-chan? When your decisive moment comes, listen to your heart and follow its dictates, no matter how frightening. Hinata looked down again and began pressing her fingers together. What? What if you're not strong enough to follow your heart? Kushina paused for a bit, really regretting what she was about to say. Then you don't deserve him. Hinata gasped and her face shot back up. What? Kushina bent down on her knees while keeping a gentle hold on Hinata's shoulder. Hinata-chan, you are a dear sweet child, and I am very fond of you. I do not doubt that you will grow into a fine woman and one day be a fine wife. But Naruto-kun is not ordinary person. He is going to be an extraordinary man just as his father was. And for such a man, an ordinary wife will never do. Until now, his life has been hard and it will only get harder. There are things about him that you do not know. Terrible things. Within him is an unlimited potential, not only for greatness but for the tragic as well. From the day of his birth until the day of his life ends will be bitter struggle against enemies you cannot imagine, both within and without. I believe his triumph in the end no matter the odds, because he has within him his father's courage. He has the rare strength to do what most people cannot. She paused for a bit, and Hinata was entranced. She hung over the word. She knew this was vital, important. Kushina, green eyes poured into her. When I took my marriage vows, I pledged everything to be with him. My life, my heart, my very soul. I offered everything. I was even ready to sell my soul to the devil for him. For to be with a truly great man, nothing less would ever have been enough. Can you do the same, Hinata-chan? Can you pledge everything to be with him? Can you offer your life, your heart, and your very soul to stand beside him? Do you love him that much? Besides, if you don't, you can have to give up on him. You don't deserve him then. The little girl looked at her stunned and lost. Kushina, I, shush. Kushina put a finger to her lips and shushed her. You don't have to answer me now. In fact, you don't have to answer me at all. But one day, Hinata, likely years from now, your moment will come, and you will have the answer then. She leaned forward and gave the small child a kiss on the forehead. Good night, Hinata-chan. I will see you in the morning. With that, she left to return to her home and her son. The first 3 weeks at the academy went well. Naruto found nothing hard in either Iruka's lessons or in Mizuki's senses. He excelled in all objects and subjects with relative ease. The truth was, there was nothing he has being taught that his mother had not already covered and gone far beyond. His mother had given him a crash course on girls and taught him how to be polite to them without encouraging them too much. And ultimately, he had decided not to get a girlfriend and simply endured the attention of most of his female classmates. At least the stalking had come to a stop after a couple of days. His mom had taken out her sword and swung it around her head while unleashing a high pitched and ungulated battle cry. After that, the girls settled for showing him attention in the classroom. Ino maintained her flirtatious ways and Naruto put up with it more or less with good humor. Throughout, Hinata was always the one at his side. She had begun to train with him and his mom more. Hinata remained his absolute best friend, but he also began to make another close friend. Link break. Checkmate, a lazy boy said. Naruto sat back and studied the board for a moment. You surprised me. Want to play again? Shikamaru nodded. You know, Naruto, I have to give you credit. You're the only one besides my dad who will play with me on a regular basis. You're also the only person besides me to ever beat me. He gave he began to set the board up again. Not shrugged. I like playing with you, Shika. It's a challenge and the games help me develop my strategic thinking. He looked at him suspiciously. You know you're a lot smarter than you like to let on. Why don't you try harder? Or even try a little? I mean, you're the dead last in the class. Shikamaru sent him a disinterested look. So? Nada frowned at him. So don't you want to be as good as you possibly can? Don't you want to be great? Too troublesome. I just want to be average. Why do you want to excel so much? Because I want to be the greatest Hokage Konoha has ever seen. He said almost automatically. Shikamaru smiled. Greatest, eh? Wouldn't just being Hokage be enough for you? No. Naruto said seriously. My father was the hero who saved this village from the Kyuubi. He gave everything to save Konoha. I want to be like him and even greater. I love Konoha and its people, and I want to protect them and keep them safe. And I want to be better than any who came from otherwise. What the point is, that won't leave you very much time for watching clouds or playing shogi then. Shikamaru pointed out. No, but if I can keep Konoha safe, I'll be glad to make that sacrifice. Shikamaru smiled. Spoken like a real Hokage, eh? Would you boys like some cookies? She entered the game room with a tray. They're still hot. Thanks, Mom. Naruto said. Thank you. She smiled at the two boys. This was the first time he brought over a male friend. She chuckled thinking about the first time he brought over a female. Link break. 10 miles? Pale. Naruto smiled at her. It's a really good warm-up. Once you're done, your body is warm and loose and you can hit the obstacle course. Obstacle course? Come on, I'll show you. He led her to other side of the mansion and pointed out the features. You made through the mud pit, go through the monkey bars, swing across the pond, chakra walk up the 100-foot tower, and then down the zip line. Ino looked at him uncomfortably and wondered what he would think if she told him she couldn't swim or chakra walk, and really wasn't eager to go waist deep in mud. So we'll normally do the course 5 minutes, then we'll start on the taijutsu sparring. Just so you know, my mom knows medical ninjutsus, so don't worry when you spar with her. She thought her heart stopped. Whoa, hold it! I'm going to spar your mother? I was sort of hoping to spar with you, Nartakun. Well, I'm sure you were, dear, Kushina said to her with a smile, but I want to see what you're made of. Don't worry, I probably won't break your bones, and if I do, I'll get you to the hospital very quickly. Narada frowned at his mother. Mom, you said you would take it easy on her. Kushina shrugged. I said I wouldn't break her bones. Anyway, after that, we usually break for an hour to eat lunch, and after lunch, we basically do exercises to build up strength and endurance. 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 crunches, 1,500 jump jacks, and 500 pull-ups. Stared at him and his mom, praying that they would burst out into laughter and tell her they were kidding. Then after that, it's time for weapon training. My mom and I will work on sword training, and you're free to work on shurikens and kunais now. Then we finish off with a relaxing 5 miles run. Stared at him. And this is your regular workout? He nodded. One day, when I'm not at school, on school days, I have a 3-hour workout. He frowned at his mother. I do more, but she doesn't want me to exhaust myself. So anyway, you ready to go? She grinned weakly. Sure. Ready, Nada-chan? Of course, Nada-kun. Alright, let's have a really great workout. Nada said excitedly and led the four of them along the trail that ran around the estates. After about 100 yards, ow! Oh! Ow! It hurts. Collapsed to the ground and grabbed at her ankle. Hinata was quickly kneeling at her side and Kushina and Hinata standing a bit behind it. What happened? Naruto asked. Oh, Naruto-kun, I'm so sorry, but I twisted my ankle. Hinata said bravely. Oh, that's too bad. Are you alright? Naruto sympathized. What incredible bad luck, Kushina said. It really is unbelievable. Hinata giggled. Naruto-kun, I hate to do this, but I won't be able to work out with you. Would you mind carrying me home? She asked pleadingly. My mom could probably heal you. Naruto said, No, I don't want to trouble her. I think it would be best if you could just get me home. Well, okay. Naruto made to pick her up, but his mom put her hands on his shoulder. Actually, Naruto-kun, as the adult, it's my responsibility to get her safely home. Kushina said, I would really prefer if Naruto-kun carried me. Pleaded. I am sure you would, dear. Kushina picked her up. You two continue on. I'll be back if in a few minutes. She leapt away without even giving a chance to say anything more. Naruto looked over Hinata. Hey Hinata-chan, why are you laughing? Oh, no reason, Naruto-kun. She tried but couldn't stop laughing. Link break. Listen, Naruto, I'm having a birthday next week. And even though it's troublesome, my parents are throwing me a party. You want to come? Both Naruto and his mom were taken by surprise and stared at him. Did I say something wrong? Shikamaru. Kushina said carefully. Do your parents know you wish to invite Naruto? Of course. He answered without concern. I wouldn't have asked him without being sure my mom wouldn't be troublesome. My folks say that if I want you to come, you're welcome. Naruto looked excitedly at his mom. Mom, can I? Kushina smiled and nodded. Of course, son. She looked at Shikamaru and actually gave him a slight bow. Shikamaru, thank you for extending this invitation to my son. Link break. Are you coming in with us, Mom? Naruto asked. Kushina smiled. She had, of course, escorted her son and Hinata to the Nara estate. No, Naruto-kun. You and Hinata go in and have a good time. I'll be here when you're ready to return. With that said, she leapt away. They had each brought a gift, and as they approached the front door, they could hear the sound of music and the high-pitched laughter of children. As they stood ready to ring the bell, Hinata noticed something. Naruto-kun, you look nervous. I am Hinata-chan. This is the first time I've ever been invited to my friend's house. Except for all the times I stayed at Yuga's. Hinata smiled at him. She found it to be an odd role reversal, to be the confident one for a change. I have been to many formal dinners and functions. It'll be fine, Naruto-kun. You have been invited, and I know your manners are excellent. I guess you're right. He reached out and rang the doorbell. The door was opened a moment later by a man who looked like an older version of Shikamaru with some facial scars. Naruto bowed to him. Thank you for welcoming to your home, Shikaku-san. His mother had been sure to inform him of the names of both Shika's parents. Yes, Hinata added. We are both very happy to have been extended invitations to your son's birthday party. Shikaku gave them both an easy grin. No need to be so formal. You can call me Shikaku. Come on in. You are both welcome. They entered hand in hand. Most of their classmates were already there. The girls who were there immediately noticed them entering with his usual Hokage cloak. As the girls swarmed towards him, he tightly gripped Hinata's hand. Please don't leave me, Hinata-chan, he whispered to her, not wanting to be trapped by a pack of them. Hearing him say those words, she blushed a bit and smiled. I won't leave you, Hinata-kun. Link breath. Wow, Ilona said dreamily. Beautiful, another girl cooed. So graceful. Ino sighed. Oh, he's not that good. An annoyed Sakura said. Sasuke is much better dancer. Oh yeah? Ino smiled. How would you know? Even forehead. I haven't seen him dance. He said he might dance with me later. Sakura asked defensively. Don't hold your breath. Ino said flatly. Stung, Sakura shot back. Oh yeah, Inobe? Well, I haven't seen him dancing with you yet. The only one he has danced with is Hinata. I know. Ino frowned. She really wanted to dance with him. Link break. Hinata had never enjoyed herself so much in a party. The formal functions she went to as part of her responsibility as the Yuga here were always dry, boring, and lifeless. The only parties she had ever attended that she had really enjoyed were Naruto's birthday parties, and this was better because they had never danced before. Dancing had never been a part of those celebrations, but here a space had been cleared in the living room and music was playing loudly. All the girls wanted to dance with him, but he did not really feel comfortable with anyone but her, and so the two of them danced exclusively, and she had discovered he was a marvelous dancer. She knew why, of course. She had watched him train with a sword many times before. Unlike using kunai or shuriken, a large part of using a sword effectively was proper footwork. Then fighting styles were actually called dances, and he had mastered one of them, the dance of the camellia. Watching the way he could move and flow with his sword was beautiful, and those movements transferred well to the dance floor. She had never danced with him before and just loved the shared moment and the feel of all his attention because solely focused on her. As they danced, the song they were listening to ended. The next song was a slow one. The two of them stopped for a moment and looked around. There were six other couples dancing when the song came on, four of them. Deciding to leave the dance floor, the other two danced close with the boys, holding the girl around her back, just above her hips. Hinata expected he would want to take a break from dancing, but instead Naruto grabbed her around her hips and pulled her close. The sound came out of her before she could stop it. Naruto gave her a look of surprise. Is something wrong, Naruto-chan? No, Naruto-kun. He shrugged and pulled her close like the other two couples were dancing. It took her just a moment to settle down being so close, but she slowly did and put her head down on his shoulder. Once she did manage to calm down, she sort of regretted having her big veggie coat on. She shut her eyes and just relaxed as they slowly moved in rhythm to the music. She let out a content sigh. Naruto-kun. Link break. Sakura saw the way Ino was looking at the two of them. Jealous much, Ino big? Ino gave her a nasty grin. Isn't it time for you to go up to Sasuke and get ignored again? Ino looked back at the two of them. Well, aren't they cute, but it won't last long. She's not his type. Link break. Why are you smiling like that? Naruto asked suspiciously. Like what, Naruto-kun? His mother asked innocently. They had dropped off Hinata and were going up the walkway to the front door. Like you know something, Naruto accused. Like what? I don't know. Kushina patted her son's shoulder. Naruto-kun, really, are you suspicious of your own mother? He looked at a bit embarrassed. No, of course not. I'm sorry, Mom. That's alright, son. I forgive you. She opened the front door and they both entered the mansion. By the way, son, you and Hinata made the cutest couple on the dance floor. His mom gave him a huge smile. Hey, Mom! Why are you spying on me? Not accused. I prefer to call it protective surveillance. Link break. They were gathered in the dojo after making certain all the students at least have known the basic Mizuki had told them. It was time for them to begin sparring one another. The academy was designed to foster competition. The students were encouraged to develop their individual excellence. Teamwork was also important. Of course, there were team building exercises as well, but the atmosphere was deliberately kept competitive. Alright, everyone, to begin with, we will have the boys fight the boys and the girls will fight each other. Mizuki announced. Once we have a pecking order of the strongest and weakest in each group, we will begin having the boys and girls fight each other as well. Now I want all of you to fight as hard as you can. Keep in mind that someday you will have to fight for your lives. Do not get into the habit of holding back. I want all of you to do your absolute best. He smiled at all of them. With that in mind, we are not here to deliberately hurt anyone. If someone is hurt during the match, no one will find any fault with that. But please do not strike our fallen or unconscious opponent. If I tell you to stop, do so immediately and take a couple steps back. If so, you see blood, please halt. And as he known it would, the last comment got their attention. Most looked a little bit uncomfortable. Mizuki knew that was good. Up until now, most of them had only sparred with families or friends who held back from hurting them. It was time for them to fight with the understanding that they could be hurt. Time to toughen them up a little bit. Some of them didn't seem at all bothered or worried. Kiba was grinning and looking eager to scrap. Sasuke just smirked, probably thinking no one here was good enough to touch him. Naruto didn't change at all. He had the usual confident look at him about him. Alright, demon, let's test you. Naruto and Kiba, please come forward. The two boys moved forward and took their positions. Bow to one another. The boys gave each other respectful bows. Assume a fight stance. Kiba took out a normal taijutsu stance. Naruto put on one foot a bit in front and the other a bit behind and onto the side. One hand he held out in front of his face and the other behind his head near his ear. Kiba sent him a look. What's with the weird stance? It's the starting position of crane style. He replied simply, Alright, begin. Eager, Kiba ran straight into trying to launch a stronger or slightly clumsy attack. Naruto took a quick sidestep, reached out and punched the back of Kiba's head. Kiba stumbled forward and fell dash down on the mat unconscious. The match was ended in less than 10 seconds. Very well done, Naruto. Really impressive. Mizuki gave the boy a biggest encouraging smile. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and returned the smile. He liked Mizuki sensei. Link break. The girls were standing in a group a bit separated from the boys. They all watched as Naruto walked triumphantly off the mat. Ino sighed. He's so amazing. So love him. No, you don't, Ino. The girl next to her said. She instantly turned and glared at the girl. What did you say, Hinata-chan? Hinata calmly faced an irritated blonde. I said you don't love him. She felt strangely comfortable and did not stutter or stumble over her words. You don't even really know him. To you, he's just some ideal. The other girls all quieted down and listened to the two of them. Oh, so I suppose you know him better? Ino demanded. I know Naruto-kun my whole life, she said simply, and I can't remember a time when I don't love him. Ino sneered. Too bad you two aren't just friends. Inata's eyes went to the floor. Maybe that'll change one day. Sensing an advantage, she pushed it. Yeah, right, you're so not his type. I mean, seriously, do you think he'll end up with a quiet little mouse like you? Inata's eyes came back up, and she sent Ino a hard look she had never suspected the quiet girl even capable of. I'm not a mouse. I'm a Konoichi, and heir to one of the strongest clans in Konoha. And even if I'm a little shy, you never think that means I'm scared. Oh yeah? You really think you'll end up with him? I don't know, she said honestly. I don't know if I ever be stronger enough to deserve someone like Naruto, but I've decided that I want to be someone who would be worthy of his love. I've started working hard to become such a person. I continue to work towards the goal. Because to me, Naruto is worth that sacrifice. He's the one I love and the one who gives me courage. Well, I'm going to be stronger too. And there's no way I'll lose Naruto to you. Hinata shook her head. This isn't a competition. Huh, that just shows what you know. When it comes to getting the boy you want, is always a competition and I tend to win. Hinata frowned at her. Is that all Naruto is to you? The prize you will win after winning this little pathetic battle between us? You need to grow up. What? She began shaking her fist. What did you just call me, you little mouse? Is there a problem? Mizuki asked. Mizuki-sensei, I want to fight her right now. Mizuki looked at her in surprise. Usually it was the boys who developed grudges and demanded to settle them in a spar. He had planned to finish with the boys first, but if Ino was this adamant, it would be better to get this out of the way. Do you have an objection, Hinata? She shook her head. No, Mizuki-sensei. He shrugged. Well, both of you come forward and take your positions. Hinata took a step and halted. She thought for a moment and came to a decision. She unzipped her baggy jacket and left it on the floor. Link break. The boys were all watching as Hinata and Ino took their positions on the mat. This was the very first time any of them had seen her without a jacket. Even Naruto had not seen her without a jacket since she started wearing it about half a year ago. Hey! Kiba shouted. Hinata, you got the test. Almost immediately, Kiba was grabbed around the collar and was yanked forward until he was nose to nose with a very angry Naruto. What did you just say, dog boy? Naruto growled. Kiba gulped and felt the urge to whimper and turn up his belly. Nothing? Naruto let loose and turned back to the girls. Wow, Hinata-chan has the test. Link break. Having bowed to one another, Ino smiled. Naruto's watching us, I know. Assume a fighting stance, Mizuki commanded. Ino snapped into her standard Koken stance, Byakugan. Activating her bloodline, the veins around her eyes popped up, giving her a suddenly fearsome look. She dropped into a Juken fighting stance. Ino suddenly looked at Mizuki. Hey, is that allowed? Is there a problem, Ino? To fight to the best of your abilities, and Gentle Fist is the fighting style of the Yugas. But I don't think she could actually use it. Ino felt just a little worried. She heard of Gentle Fist, and it was one of the Konoha's strongest fighting style. Mizuki frowned at her. Surprises and false assumptions are a part of ninja's life. Considering this a valuable lesson for the future. Maybe you should twist your ankles, Hinata asked sweetly. Glared at the girl. Woohoo! Kick her ass, Hinata-chan! Naruto shouted. Naruto smiled happily. Watch me, Naruto-kun. Alright, Mizuki spoke. Begin! Link break. She did ape on Barboss. Got out as she pressed the blooded cloth to her nose. Hinata bowed. I apologize, I didn't not intend to break your nose. Glared at her, clearly not believing it. Mizuki shook his head. Hinata, you have nothing to apologize for. Bloodshed is inevitable when the conflict begins. Conflict begins. Conflict? I mean, it is it written conflict? Anyways, conflict begins. He looked at all the boys and girls. Take a good look and get used to the sight. If you become a ninja, you will see it often. Got to the medic's office. You are dismissed from the remainder of the session. Mizuki got back to his spars. About 20 minutes later, another Chunin instructor arrived and spoke quietly to Mizuki. Mizuki listened and then called out, Naruto, the academy administrator wishes to speak with you. Please go with Larmy. Naruto nodded. Yes, Mizuki sensei. Link break. He followed the Chunin instructor out of the dojo and down on one of the halls. Naruto quickly noticed something. I beg pardon, Larmy sensei, but isn't the administration the other way? Larmy shouted Naruto a hard look. The administrator wishes to speak with you somewhere else. Why? Naruto asked curiously. I don't know. I'm simply following orders. No, come along and don't ask questions. Naruto didn't appreciate the tone and nevertheless followed. They went to the third floor where the fourth year students were being taught. As they went down the hall, Naruto noted all the classrooms were empty. The senior students were all out doing their physical training. Lamy came to a stop and so did Naruto. The Chunin pointed room to the administrator in that room waiting for. Naruto remained exactly where he was. Well, what are you waiting for? Naruto had a hand on his belt with one finger as he pressed a button and activated the radio communicator. The microphone was in the collar of his bodysuit, so anything he said would go out so long as the communicator was in the standing position. Pardon me, but just why are we here on the third floor standing in front of the room 315 again? He asked casually. Lemar frowned at him. I already told you the administrator wishes to speak with you. Yes, but why you haven't said why? You're being insolent. Do not keep the administrator waiting. Actually, would you mind asking him to come out and talk to me in this hall? Don't be ridiculous. Now get in that room right now, or you'll be in a great deal of trouble. Naruto looked at the man's eyes as he saw fear and monotonic panic there. He saw a bead of sweat running down the side of his face, his eyes twitching nervously towards his door. You're lying. Naruto said quietly. In an instant, he was dodging and pulling his sword out as Larim threw a pair of kunas at him and cried out. The door to the room opened and four men came out, all of them holding knives. Larim launched himself towards with Naruto with a kuna in each hand. Naruto on his feet and began to dance with Camellia. He took advantage of his side. He slid through underneath his opponent's kuna strike. He drove his sword up and in with all his might, aiming at the zipper that was in Chunin's vest. The sword struck with a savage might. He drove the blade all the way. Larim cried out as he was skewered. Naruto yanked his sword back out again and took a couple steps back as the Chunin pitched forward, dead or soon to be dead. His blood was spreading away from him. The four men who had come storming out of the room all came to a sudden halt and the sight they were confronted by. The Chunin ally lying at the floor in a blood of his own blood. Meanwhile, their intended target was standing there with a bloody sword, eyeing them with a frightening look. Calm. Is there something wrong? He asked pleasantly. It's a little late for second thoughts. The men all looked at each other, clearly frightened and unsure of what they should do. Well, if you really want, we can just stand here and wait another minute and a half for my mom to arrive. As he known it would be settled them down, they rushed at him with a shout, waving their knives at him. He waited for them like a wolf waiting for some rabbits. It took 4 sword strokes and 2 steps to deal with them. It's over, Mom. He switched the communicator to receiver. Naruto, are you alright? His mother's panic-stricken voice came over him. I'm fine, Mom. He assured her. Are you still near room 315? Yes, Mom. Stay there. I'll be with you in just a minute. Okay, Mom. He switched off the radio. Now he could try and slowly down his heartbeat. He looked down at the bodies at the 5 men he had slaughtered. As he took out a rag and started cleaning his sword, he wondered why they hated him so much. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, guys, I will be uploading 2 more parts of the other series, mainly the political marriage and the fifth Hokage, so stay tuned for them. And yeah, guys, I am thinking of uploading the first horror video on my second channel, so if you guys like it, please check that out as well. Anyways, this is Apollo Uchiha and I'm signing out. Peace.